Welcome to the Chambers of Confession. Take your seat, hit the like button, and subscribe. Here we listen. We don't judge. Now, let's hear what one of us has to say. I want to talk about something I did to Jessica Martinez on prom night, 1998. I'm 44 years old now, married with 2 daughters. And I can't look at them without thinking about what kind of man their father really is. My name doesn't matter. I've changed enough details to protect people, but this happened in Bakersfield, California 26 years ago. I was 17, thought I was hot shit because I played varsity football and had a car my dad bought me for keeping my grades up. Jessica was... God, she was beautiful. Quiet girl, really smart, came from one of the poorer families in our district. Her mom cleaned houses, her dad worked construction when he could find it. She wore the same 3 outfits to school in rotation, but somehow she always looked put together. Proud, you know? I'd been asking her out for months. She kept saying no, always politely. Said she was focused on her studies, which was true. She was valedictorian, had a full scholarship to UC Davis lined up. But I could tell there was more to it. She was intimidated by my crowd, by the money, by the whole social hierarchy thing. Looking back, she was being smart. She knew guys like me didn't date girls like her for the right reasons. But I was persistent. That's what I told myself then. Persistent. Now I know what it really was. Predatory. About 2 weeks before prom, I cornered her after chemistry class. Told her I'd been thinking about her constantly. That I knew she was different from other girls. Special. I said I wanted to take her to prom. Show her off. Give her the night she deserved. She hesitated. I could see her wavering, and I went in for the kill. Come on, Jess, I said. You've worked so hard for 4 years. Don't you want one perfect night? One night where you don't have to worry about anything except having fun? She said yes, quietly, almost like she was afraid to want it. I should have been happy, right? I'd gotten what I wanted, but there was this sick part of me that was already planning ahead. Already thinking about what I expected in return for giving her this perfect night. The thing is, I had a reputation, not a good one if you really looked at it, but at 17 I thought it made me cool. I was the guy who always got what he wanted from girls. Football parties, after-game celebrations, summer pool parties. There were stories, girls who'd trusted me and ended up regretting it. But somehow I'd convinced myself that Jessica was different, that I was different with her. I picked her up on May 16th, 1998. She lived in this tiny apartment complex on the south side of town. Definitely not where any of my usual crowd lived. When she came out to my car, I literally stopped breathing for a second. She'd somehow found this incredible dress, dark green, simple but elegant. Later I found out she'd been saving babysitting money for months to afford it. Her hair was done up in this intricate style that must have taken hours. She looked like she belonged in a magazine. But what I remember most was her smile. Pure excitement, like she couldn't quite believe this was happening to her. The dance itself was fine. Jessica was nervous at first, intimidated by the country club venue and all the rich parents taking pictures. But she relaxed as the night went on. She was funny, smart, talked about her plans for college, her dreams of becoming a doctor. I introduced her to my friends, and they were assholes. Making little comments about her dress being vintage, asking if she'd ever been to the country club before. Nothing overtly cruel, just that casual cruelty that rich kids specialize in. Jessica handled it with grace, but I could see it wearing on her. By the time we left the dance around 11, some of that excitement had dimmed. That's when I made my move. Instead of taking her home like I'd promised, I drove to the lake. Said I wanted to show her something special, somewhere we could talk without all the noise and drama from the dance. She was hesitant, said her parents were expecting her home by midnight. I convinced her to stay just for a little while. Said we'd earn some time alone after putting up with everyone else all night. I had a bottle of cheap champagne in my trunk, stolen from my parents' liquor cabinet. Told her it was expensive stuff, that we should celebrate her scholarship, her future, this perfect night. She didn't drink much, maybe 2 sips. But I kept encouraging her, kept filling her cup, kept talking about how mature she was, how different from other girls our age. And then I started kissing her. At first it was nice, sweet even. She kissed me back, seemed to be enjoying it. But then I started pushing for more, my hands wandering, trying to get her dress unzipped, pushing her back toward the car. She kept saying no. Not firmly at first, just little protests. We should slow down. I don't think this is a good idea. Maybe we should head back. But I kept pushing, kept telling her she was beautiful, that I cared about her, that this was what people did on prom night, that she deserved to feel special, to have all the experiences she'd been missing out on. The worst part is, I could see her trying to talk herself into it. This smart, careful girl who'd spent 4 years focused on her future, trying to convince herself that maybe this was normal, maybe this was what she was supposed to want. I took advantage of that confusion, used it against her. When she said no more firmly, I got angry. Started talking about how much money I'd spent on the night, how I'd chosen her over all the other girls who would have said yes in a heartbeat. Made her feel guilty for leading me on. She started crying. Quiet tears at first, then harder when she realized I wasn't going to stop. I didn't rape her. I need to be clear about that. But what I did, it was assault. I forced her to touch me, forced her to let me touch her, used my size and strength to pin her down when she tried to get away. She kept saying no, kept trying to push me off, but I was so much bigger than her, and I was angry, frustrated, felt like she owed me something. When it was over, she was shaking, wouldn't look at me, just sat in the passenger seat trying to fix her hair, her dress, while I drove her home in silence. I dropped her off at her apartment complex around 2 a.m. She got out without saying a word, walked to her door without looking back. That was the last time we spoke. She avoided me completely for the remaining weeks of school, changed her schedule to avoid my classes, ate lunch in the library, left immediately after final bell. At graduation, she gave her valedictorian speech about overcoming obstacles and staying true to yourself, and I couldn't even look at her. I found out later that she never went to UC Davis. Never became a doctor. She moved away that summer, and nobody in our class ever heard from her again. I stole her future. That's what I did. I took this brilliant, ambitious girl and broke something in her that never got fixed. I've looked for her over the years. Social media, Google searches, alumni networks. She's like a ghost. Either she's living under a different name, or she's worked very hard to stay hidden. I think about her constantly. Wonder if she ever got married, had kids, found some version of the happiness she deserved. Wonder if she ever trusted another man after what I did to her. I have 2 daughters now, 15 and 13. Beautiful, smart girls who remind me of Jessica in different ways. And I'm terrified every day that some boy like me is going to hurt them the way I hurt her. I've tried to be a good father, a good husband. I volunteer with youth programs, coach Little League, donate to women's shelters. Like maybe if I do enough good things, it'll balance out somehow. But it doesn't work that way, does it? You can't undo the harm you've caused. You can't take back the moment you chose to be a monster. My wife doesn't know. My daughters don't know. They think I'm a good man who made some mistakes as a teenager. They have no idea that their father is the kind of person they should be afraid of. Sometimes I think about confessing, going to the police, trying to find Jessica and apologize, telling my family the truth about who I really am. But that's just more selfish thinking, isn't it? Making myself feel better by dumping my guilt on other people. Jessica's built a life without me in it. My daughters deserve to feel safe with their father. The truth is, I'm a coward. I was a coward that night at the lake, taking what I wanted instead of accepting no for an answer. And I'm a coward now, living with this secret because the alternative is too hard. Jessica Martinez, if you're out there, if you ever come across this confession, I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, doesn't give you back what I took, but I'm sorry. You deserved so much better than me. You deserved that perfect night, that bright future, that safe world where 17-year-old boys didn't think they owned your body. I failed you, and I've been failing you every day since by not being brave enough to face what I did. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope you found peace anyway. I drugged my best friend on prom night 30 years ago, and she still doesn't know it was me. Sounds bad when I say it like that, but let me explain what really happened. May 14th, 1994. Riverside High School in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Back when you could still smoke in restaurants and everyone thought the internet was just a fad. My best friend was Jenny Kozlowski. Had been since 3rd grade. We did everything together. Sleepovers, shared clothes, painted each other's nails, the whole deal. People used to joke we were joined at the hip. Except Jenny had something I wanted. Something I'd wanted since freshman year. Andy Webb, 6'2", played varsity basketball, had this smile that made your knees go weak. Jenny had been dating him for 8 months, and I'd been pretending to be happy for her the entire time. But here's the thing about Jenny. She was a prude. Straight A student, church every Sunday, wouldn't even let Andy get to second base. Meanwhile, well, let's just say I had a reputation. Not slutty, exactly, but I knew what I was doing with guys. Andy and I had been flirting for months. Nothing serious, just looks across the cafeteria, him finding excuses to talk to me when Jenny wasn't around. He'd complain about how innocent Jenny was, how she didn't understand him like I did. 2 weeks before prom, he cornered me by my locker. "God, I wish you were going to prom instead of Jenny," he said. Just like that. She's so vanilla. That's when I got the idea. My older sister Carla was home from college that week. Pre-med at Iowa State. She had access to all kinds of stuff. Sleeping pills, muscle relaxers, things she used for her anatomy labs. I told her I was having trouble sleeping because of prom stress. Could she help me out? She gave me 3 Ambien. Just half a pill, she said. "These are strong, you'll sleep for 12 hours. I had no intention of taking them myself. Prom night, we all met at Jenny's house for pictures. Her, Andy, me and my date. Poor Danny Kowalski, who I'd asked just to make it look normal. Jenny looked beautiful in this pink dress her mom had sewn, all excited, chattering about dinner reservations at the Marriott downtown. Before we left, Jenny's mom served us punch. Hawaiian punch mixed with ginger ale, trying to be fancy. I volunteered to help serve it, being the good friend I was. I crushed half an Ambien in Jenny's cup, stirred it in real good. The punch was pink enough that you couldn't see any residue. "Drink up," I told her. "We need to get going." She downed it in 2 gulps. Always did what I suggested, sweet Jenny. Dinner went fine at first. We ate at the hotel restaurant. You know, the fancy one with the white tablecloths and bread that cost $5 a roll. Jenny was laughing, having a good time. Andy kept looking at me across the table, and I kept looking back. About halfway through the main course, Jenny started getting drowsy. "I feel weird," she said. "Really tired all of a sudden." "Maybe you're just overwhelmed," I said. Big night and all. By dessert, she could barely keep her eyes open. Andy was getting worried. "Maybe we should take her home," he said. "No way," I said. "She's been planning this for months. Let's just get her some air." We went up to Andy's hotel room. Yeah, his parents had gotten him a room for after prom. Jenny was practically sleepwalking by then. We got her to the bed, and she was out cold within minutes. "What the hell?" Andy said. "She was fine an hour ago. She gets like this sometimes," I lied. "Low blood sugar. She'll be fine in the morning." Andy was pacing, genuinely concerned. "Good guy, actually. Better than I deserved. We should call her parents," he said. That's when I made my move, touched his arm, looked up at him with those eyes that had worked on every other guy in school. "She's fine," I said. "Look, she's breathing normally. She's just tired. We could stay here and watch her, make sure she's okay." I moved closer, put my hand on his chest. "I've wanted this for so long," I whispered. And Andy was 18 years old with his girlfriend passed out drunk on his bed and another girl throwing herself at him. He lasted about 30 seconds before his conscience cracked. We had sex on the floor of that hotel room while Jenny slept 10 feet away. Quick, desperate, guilty sex. The whole time I kept thinking about how I'd finally won, how I'd gotten what I wanted. Afterward, Andy was a mess. Crying, saying he was a terrible person. How could he do this to Jenny? I got dressed, told him to calm down, that Jenny never had to know. "This never happened," I said. "Jenny had too much to drink. We took care of her. End of story." Jenny woke up around 6 a.m. with no memory of anything after dinner. I told her she'd gotten food poisoning, that we'd spent the night taking care of her. Andy backed up my story, too guilty to do anything else. 3 days later, Andy broke up with Jenny, said he wasn't ready for a serious relationship, needed to focus on college. Jenny was devastated, cried for weeks. I consoled her, best friend duty, you know? Brought her ice cream, let her cry on my shoulder, told her Andy was an idiot for letting her go. A month later, I started dating Andy myself. Jenny was hurt, but I convinced her it just happened, that I was sorry, that I hoped we could still be friends. We stayed friends through the summer. Then we all went off to different colleges and gradually lost touch. Last I heard, Jenny became a teacher, married some accountant, has 3 kids. Happy ending for her, I guess. Andy and I lasted 6 months. Turns out, getting what you want isn't the same as wanting what you get. Plus, every time I looked at him, I remembered what I'd done to get him. How I'd betrayed my best friend, drugged her, violated every code of friendship we'd ever had. The guilt ate at both of us. We never talked about that night, but it was always there between us. This ugly thing we'd done. Here's what really gets me, though. Jenny never knew. She went to her grave. Well, not her grave, she's still alive, but you know what I mean. She never knew her best friend had drugged her and stolen her boyfriend while she was unconscious. She probably still thinks fondly of our friendship. Probably tells her kids stories about her high school best friend, who was always there for her. And I let her believe that lie for 30 years. I destroyed my best friend's trust, drugged her without her knowledge, and had sex with her boyfriend while she lay unconscious 3 feet away. All because I was jealous and selfish and couldn't stand that good girls like Jenny always got what I wanted. The worst part? It didn't even make me happy. None of it. The victory was hollow, the relationship was poisoned from the start, and I lost the best friend I ever had. Sometimes I think about reaching out to Jenny. Facebook makes it easy, right? But what would I say? Hey, remember prom night when you got sick? Funny story, I actually drugged you so I could sleep with your boyfriend. Some confessions are too ugly for forgiveness, so I carry it. This thing I did when I was 18 and stupid and cruel. Jenny Kozlowski, if you're out there somewhere, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't the friend you deserved. And I'm sorry it took me 30 years to admit that the sick feeling you had that night wasn't food poisoning. It was me. I've been carrying this for 22 years, and I can't do it anymore. My name doesn't matter, but what I did that night, in May 2002. God, I still wake up sometimes thinking I can smell the chlorine. You know how everyone says prom night is supposed to be magical? The night you remember forever? Well, they're right about that last part. I just wish I could forget. I was 17 then, living in Millbrook, this tiny town in upstate New York where everyone knew everyone's business. You know the type of place, 1 high school, 2 gas stations, and nothing to do but drink in cornfields or swim in the old quarry after dark. I guess you'd call me popular back then. Not the prettiest girl, but I knew how to make people laugh, how to make them feel comfortable. I was dating Tommy Breslin, star of the basketball team. Full ride to Syracuse lined up. Golden boy, you know. But here's the thing, nobody knew. Not my parents, not my best friends, not even Tommy. I was seeing someone else. Had been for months. Mr. Davidson. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Trust me, I've had 22 years to think about how fucked up it was. He was my AP English teacher, 34 years old, married with twin girls who were maybe 6 at the time. But he made me feel special, like I was mature, sophisticated, like I understood things other kids my age couldn't. It started innocently enough, staying after class to discuss essays, talking about books that weren't on the curriculum. He'd recommend novels, said I had an old soul. God, I ate that shit up. A 17-year-old girl being told she's mature by an older man? It was like crack. The first time he kissed me was in his classroom after school in February. I'd been helping him grade papers, which, looking back, Jesus Christ, and he said I was beautiful. Said his wife didn't understand him anymore, that she was too focused on the twins to see him as anything but a provider. I believed him. I wanted to believe him. We'd meet at his cabin up by Mirror Lake, about 20 minutes outside town. He inherited it from his dad, told his wife he was using it for weekend fishing trips. We'd meet there maybe once a week, sometimes twice. I told my parents I was at study group, told my friends I was babysitting for my aunt in the next town over. I thought I loved him. I thought he loved me. Then came prom night. Prom was May 18th, 2002. I remember because it was the same day the Spider-Man movie came out. Tommy wanted to see it that weekend. I wore this deep blue dress my mom spent months saving for. Got my hair done at the only salon in town. Tommy looked so handsome in his rented tux. We double dated with my best friend Sarah and her boyfriend Mike. But all night, all I could think about was David. Mr. Davidson. He'd been distant that week, said we needed to be more careful with graduation coming up. Said people might start asking questions about my college recommendation letters, about why I was staying after his class so much. I was panicking, thinking he was going to end things, that I'd lose him. After the dance, the four of us went to Mike's house. His parents were out of town. Classic after prom party. Maybe 15, 20 kids total. Everyone was drinking beer they'd stolen from their parents, trying to look grown up. Sarah was so excited. She and Mike had planned to, it was going to be her first time. Around midnight, I told Tommy I wasn't feeling well, said I needed air. He offered to come with me, but I said no, told him to stay, have fun with the guys. I'd just walk around the block, but I didn't walk around the block. I drove to the cabin. I still had the spare key he'd given me. David was there. I knew he would be. He always went there when he was stressed, said it helped him think. I expected him to be surprised to see me, maybe a little angry that I'd shown up without calling, but he wasn't surprised at all. He was sitting on the porch with a beer, still in his pajamas at midnight on a Saturday, like he was waiting for something. When he saw me in my prom dress, he just smiled, but not a happy smile, sort of sad and sick at the same time. "You look beautiful, Emma," he said. That wasn't my real name, by the way, but close enough. I told him I loved him, told him I didn't care what people thought, that we could wait until I graduated and then be together for real. I was 17 and stupid and thought love could fix everything. He listened to me talk for maybe 10 minutes, just nodding and drinking his beer. Then he stood up and said, "Come inside. We need to talk." I should have left then. God, I should have left. Inside, he poured me a glass of wine. I'd had wine with him before, thought it made me sophisticated, but this time it tasted funny. Sort of bitter. I mentioned it and he said it was a different brand, more expensive. I trusted him. Even when I started feeling dizzy 20 minutes later, I trusted him. The next thing I remember clearly, I was waking up in his bed. It was still dark outside, maybe 3 or 4 in the morning. I was naked and I hurt everywhere. My dress was on the floor, torn at the shoulder. My underwear was missing. David was sitting in the chair by the window, smoking a cigarette and staring at me. "You need to get dressed," he said, calm as anything, like nothing had happened. I tried to ask what we'd done. I couldn't remember anything after the wine, but when I tried to speak, the words came out wrong, slurred. I was still so dizzy. "You came here drunk," he said, not looking at me, upset about prom, about Tommy. "You were crying, saying you wanted your first time to be with someone who cared about you. So I helped you out. First time. I wasn't a virgin. Tommy and I had been together since junior year. David knew that. We'd talked about it, but I couldn't think straight enough to argue. Everything was fuzzy and wrong, and I just wanted to go home. He drove me back in my own car. His wife would be suspicious if she woke up and his car was gone, he said. Left me 3 blocks from Mike's house and walked back to get his truck. Told me to shower when I got home. Said I smelled like sex and alcohol, and my parents would ask questions. I stumbled back to the party around 4:30 a.m. Most everyone had passed out by then. Tommy was asleep on Mike's couch. Sarah found me first. I was sitting in the bathroom, still in my torn dress, just staring. She asked what happened. I told her I'd been walking and fell, caught my dress on a fence. She helped me clean up, drove me home, never questioned it. I didn't tell anyone. Not then, not ever. The next Monday at school, David acted like nothing had happened. Professional, distant. Graded my final essay with his usual red pen. Wrote good work at the top like he had 100 times before. But he kept me after class that day. "I hope you understand that what happened Saturday was a mistake," he said. "You're a smart girl, Emma. Smart enough to know that sometimes we do things we regret when we're emotional. Smart enough to know that making accusations could ruin both our futures." I asked him what he meant by accusations. "Well, you came to my cabin voluntarily. You drank wine voluntarily. You initiated intimacy. If you were to suggest otherwise, who do you think people would believe? The respected teacher with a family, or the teenage girl who's been staying after his class all year?" I felt like I was going to throw up. "Besides," he said, smiling that sick smile again, You wouldn't want people to know you've been cheating on Tommy all year, would you? Or that you've been drinking. Your parents would be so disappointed. Your college applications. He had recommendation letters from him for 3 different schools. Letters I needed. So I kept quiet. I graduated 2 weeks later. Got into college that fall. Never saw him again. Never came back to Millbrook except for weddings and funerals. Built a whole new life in Portland. Got married, had kids, started a business. Successful by any measure, but I never forgot that night. Never stopped wondering if I could have done something different. Never stopped feeling like somehow, some way, it was my fault. I found out 5 years ago that David Davidson died in 2019. Heart attack at 51. Left behind his wife and those twin girls who were adults by then with families of their own. And you know what the worst part is? When I heard he was dead, I felt relieved. Like finally I was safe. But I'm not safe, am I? Because the person I'm really afraid of, the person who's been my biggest threat all these years, it's me. I've been married for 15 years to a good man who thinks my reluctance to talk about high school is just normal nostalgia avoidance. My daughter is 16 now. Beautiful, smart, confident in ways I never was at her age. And sometimes, when I see her talking to her teachers, see her staying after class for help with projects, I feel this cold terror wash over me. Because I know how easy it is. How a teenage girl who feels special, who feels chosen, can convince herself that wrong is right. I want to warn her. Want to tell her to be careful. To trust her instincts. To never let anyone make her feel like their problems are her fault. But how do I do that without telling her why I know these things? How do I protect her without destroying the image she has of her mother? Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd told someone back then. Would it have mattered? Would anyone have believed me? Would David have been fired, charged, stopped? Or would I have been the girl who ruined a good man's life with lies? I'll never know. What I do know is this. David Davidson wasn't the only one. Men like him don't just do this once to one girl. There were others, I'm sure of it, and I could have stopped him. But I didn't. I chose my own reputation, my own future, over protecting other girls like me. Girls who were 17 and stupid, and thought they were in love with someone who was supposed to protect them. That's what I can't forgive myself for. Not what he did to me, that was his choice, his crime. But what I didn't do afterward, the silence I chose. I'm 41 years old now, successful. Happy, at least most of the time. But every May 18th I remember, every year on the anniversary of my prom, I think about that 17-year-old girl in the blue dress, driving to a cabin by Mirror Lake, because she thought she was in love. And I wonder who else is carrying a secret like mine. Who else is lying awake at night 20 years later, still smelling chlorine and wine, and wondering if they could have been braver. If you're out there, if you're listening, it wasn't your fault. Whatever they told you, whatever they made you believe about yourself, it wasn't your fault. But it is our responsibility to break the silence. That's all for tonight, Chamberlains. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments. And if you have a confession you'd like the chamber to listen to, do not hesitate. Forward them. Remember, we listen. We don't judge. Subscribe and don't forget to hit the like button. See you in the chambers. Same time tomorrow.